Hello, welcome to Friday's ESPN FC Live. And every Friday we look back at what's happened in the world of football over the past 7 days. And coming up today, Julian Alvarez, a hat-trick, his first in La Liga, keeping Atleti just in the title race after a come-from-behind victory against Rayo, their city rivals, in midweek. We'll look back, Arsenal against Manchester City as well. Craig Burley not happy with one or two comments made by Mikel Arteta after the game. We'll hear from the FC crew, but we're going to start today with an exclusive interview with the former Manchester United midfielder Christian Eriksen. Now, at the end of his contract, he remained without a club when the transfer window closed. Not a problem, he's a free agent. Eventually, on September 10th, he decided that he wanted to move to the Bundesliga. It was Wolfsburg that was the chosen club, and he eventually made his debut in a 1-0 defeat against Borussia Dortmund at the Westfalenstadion. So we've had a chance to catch up with Christian, and Archie Tutt spoke with him and asked him as well about his time at Manchester United. Let's listen.
You've experienced a lot in your career. Your last club, Manchester United, you joined them at a time which was difficult for the club. You had to experience some highs and lows there. How do you reflect on your time at the club?
No, I think personally I had a great time being at United. I think before I obviously first came to Brentford, back to football, and then after get the chance to play at United was a massive thing. And I also think I proved myself as the footballer at United. So no, I think I had a really great time. My family loved it there. I'm sure we still have a lot of friends from our time there. Yeah, and the club, I had a good time. It was a strange time because there's a lot of stuff going on at United, and the focus and the perception of the club from the outside world is a bit different sometimes to how it really is at the club. But I think it's some lovely people at the club who are really working hard and trying their best. But yeah, it doesn't always go in that way.
How does that perception change for the club going forward? What do they need to do to get back to where they feel they belong?
I don't know. It probably depends who you ask. I mean, if you ask a fan, yeah, they want to be back to winning the league every year for the next 20 years like they did. And obviously that, I think, in this time of football is almost impossible to do that. With so many other clubs having that many good players around is tough. So no, I think obviously they want to get back to, I think, being stable as a top club, not being anywhere around there. But obviously, even being there, winning the FA Cup and the Carabao in the last 2 seasons is something that any other club would be very proud of to have done. And then there's also the size and the image and the feeling at United. It's like it's not good enough. But yeah, I think hopefully that will change. That they built something that even the Carabao is a small thing, but at the moment is a big thing.
That must be weird just as a player to deal with. When you're growing up, you think winning trophies, this is what I want to do.
Yeah. And
I know that you were on the bench in one of those finals and were out injured for the other.
Yeah.
But still, like, it must be weird to feel, hang on, this is not good enough, despite the fact we're winning stuff.
Yeah. No, it is. It is very, very different. But that's just United. I mean, it's just the pressure they put on themselves, and they get the pressure they get from the outside, from former players who's always having a strong opinion about the club and always saying stuff. So I think the perception is like it always needs to be better. There's nothing that's good enough unless you win the league. And I get that point, but at the same time, I think where you were and how they was going in the league or whatever, and also last season we were still in Europa League final. It's not like nothing was close, but it's always they always have to be better, which is also good. It also means, you're pushing yourself to the limit every time because you have to. But yeah, I think at the same time you have to be a bit realistic.
But particularly competing with, I guess, the shadow of the former players always giving an opinion, that can't be easy.
No, of course not. I think it's. I think there's at the same time you see how big the club is, how much people want to be involved with the club, even on the media attention. I think even now we're speaking about United here. I mean, it's just the power of the club. But no, obviously the more opinionated and more feelings towards the club are negative, the the tougher it is, because the fans obviously follow the heroes on the TV, and it doesn't help the players at the club currently. But at the same time, when you're United, I mean, also as a footballer, there's always someone who has an opinion on one or the other, but you're just playing football. So you try to focus on that bit, and I think United will do that. Everyone is really at the club is focused on the game itself, and not so much what people are saying.
Final question on United. Ruben Amorim.
Yeah.
What's he like?
Yeah, no, he's obviously came in to change a bit compared to what Ten Hag did before, to change that style of play, to see the players and stuff. But as a person, he's a good guy, very honest guy. Really wants the team to work hard and do the best bits they can. But yeah, obviously the results haven't really gone his way since.
Thank you to Christian for his time. He only turned 33 in February. There's still plenty more to give. And Wolfsburg, 12th in the Bundesliga, with just one win in their opening 4 games. He'll be a good signing when he gets up to speed. Speaking of good signings, well, Eriksen didn't cost anything. Julian Alvarez cost an initial 75 million. That's what Atleti paid Manchester City to get the Spider last summer. And he did all right. After just 1 goal to begin the season, having scored 29 last season, he got himself a hat-trick. His first time scoring a hat-trick since he was in Argentina back in the day as a teenager. That helped Atleti beat Rayo by 3-2. At one point, when Rayo went 2-1 up, they were on course to win away from home against Atleti for the first time since 1999. But Alvarez came to the rescue. Marcos Llorente was outstanding. And they found a way, just like they did against Villarreal. I was commentating on that one with the former Atleti player Mario Suarez. After we had finished, the ESPN FC crew had their say on the way that Atleti played.
Vallecano, it's a good night.
Yes, it is. And this is a perfect way for Atleti to be heading into the weekend's game. They are welcoming Real Madrid to the Metropolitano as we welcome in Luis Garcia. And we'll get to what we saw from Julian Alvarez in just a moment. But what a crazy game to start, Luis.
Yeah, it was, and we saw a good Atletico Madrid actually in the second half. Very well in the first 15 minutes on the second half. More intensity, a lot more movement, and more creativity in the last third. And we went back to the beginning, where they allowed once again Rayo Vallecano to start getting bigger into the game, to believing that they could get something, and they found that fantastic goal to go ahead. And then you saw the reaction. The difference between these two teams, of course, is what you got on the bench. Simeone started bringing players into the second half that they made a straight impact with fantastic runs from Giuliano on the right side, Urieri and Nico in the left side. So these kind of players that they are top talented and world-class players make the difference in the whole second half. We are going to have a spot on, of course, the spotlight on Julian Alvarez. It was the one who scored the goals. But overall, I think it was a good performance of Atletico de Madrid. Rayo Vallecano did their part. And we talked about the maybe half could scratch 1 point, but in the end, it was 3 good points for Atletico de Madrid.
We saw the reaction in the last game from Julian Alvarez. Always me when he got subbed off. This was quite the reaction from him today.
Yeah, so we came into the match talking about Julian Alvarez, and we go out of this match talking about Julian Alvarez. Now, for 2 very different reasons. And he was clearly upset about coming off the field last weekend, but I think he was clearly upset about the fact that he had missed a penalty. And then coming off the field was a kick that he was in the backside that he didn't want any part of. We saw some of the hold-up play and little 1-2s and give and goes that he had in the first half. We saw the whole spectrum of Julian Alvarez, and then he closed that down and rounded up the performance with a hat-trick, and what a hat-trick it was, coming into his left foot and hitting the shot that he did. Now, to your point, Stevie, Rayo Vallecano could have done a better job of closing down the best player on the field, and that is Julian Alvarez. But never mind. Julian Alvarez essentially said, I am your guy. And if I'm Diego Simeone, that's exactly what I wanted him to tell me. You are my guy, and I want you to be on the field, but you got to give me this. You got to show me this, and show me this consistently, that we can lean on you to score the important goals. Now, some would say, not me, but some out there would suggest, if Alexander Sarloth had been available and not been red carded as he was against Mallorca and not suspended for today's matches, would Julian Alvarez had stayed on the field? We'll never know the answer to that. But what we do know is that him staying on the field means a hat-trick, and that hat-trick means 3 points. Necessary, vital, crucial, huge, gigantic 3 points for Atletico Madrid.
Absolutely, especially with who's next up, Stevie. It's Real Madrid next. Their backs were against the wall today. They came out on top. They really needed it, given the way the season's gone.
Yep.
You wonder if it could be a turning point, but then you see who does come to visit next.
Yeah, unfortunately for them, the top dogs are coming, and they cannot afford to let them get away with anything, because if they do, then the chances of them coming back are pretty slim. At the same time, when you've got Julian Alvarez on your side, there's always that chance that he will come back. And we saw it again today. I mean, as far as I'm concerned, I don't understand why Julian Alvarez ever gets substituted and why Julian Alvarez ever is not in the starting 11.
Because it's always him.
Well, it's always him. I mean, to me, Alvarez is what Griezmann used to be 4, 5, 6 years ago when he was Atletico Madrid. In my eyes, it's now Julian Alvarez is the man that should wear the crown. And it should be Julian Alvarez and 10 others. So I don't care if you've got Sorloth. I don't care who you've got. This guy should not be sitting on the bench at any stage. Unless you really, really need to give him a rest. I don't understand Simeone at all.
Make a quick prediction. I think he starts in El Derby Madrileño. And if you're in the United States, it's live on ESPN Plus, 10:15 a.m. Eastern kickoff, 7:15 out west, with ESPN FC pregame show from 9:30. Now, the team that Julian Alvarez left to join Atletico Madrid, Manchester City, were so close to picking up all 3 points. It would have been a big win to get 3 points at Arsenal. But Gabriel Martinelli had other ideas. The equaliser in the 3rd minute of stoppage time on Sunday as Arsenal got a point, but they felt they should have had more. Let's first of all, before we hear from Craig Burley and the FC team, on ESPN FC Extra Time this week, there were plenty of questions after the fallout between Arsenal and Manchester City.
Welcome in then to the latest edition of Extra Time. Thank you very much for your questions. We have the one, the only Gab Marcotti here in the studio. How are you, Gab?
Very well, thank you for having me.
Now, what's interesting, it is a little bit of small man syndrome here, is that Shaka and Gab are pretty much sat on the floor. Because can we all stand up? Is this going to work?
Do you really want to do this,
Gab? Let's do it. Let's do it. I'm
by the way.
comfortable enough. Look, because if I stand between these... Look at this. Yeah, so therefore, indeed, you're kind of sat very low today.
Yeah, bring a box.
Robbo is here as well.
Hey.
Robbo, as we just
With a very small bookcase.
yes, Robbo, people are intrigued about your ladder. And the necessary. It's necessary.
Well, it is. It is necessary because I can't get to those top books without seeing what they are. And it's part of my exercise routine that I climb the ladder 5 times a day as quickly as I can.
Well,
I've fallen off it a couple of times, but
I don't think
it's
it's
okay.
going to quite take that sort of...
Not a ladder, though.
Oh, dear. For everyone, including Dan, when's the last time you wore a tuxedo to an event?
Ooh.
I think from 1999, that would have been.
I wore one to Dr. Wayne Frederick's inauguration at Howard University.
Oh, my goodness.
I was there in 2014, I think.
Yeah. What about you, Gam?
Daily Pennsylvanian Award ceremony at the University of Pennsylvania, 1995.
This is very highbrow compared to what we're used to. Great good Stevie. Robbo, tuxedo?
Yeah, I went to a wedding about 8 or 9 years ago, and it was a black tie do. It was a winter wedding, I think, a few days before Christmas. It was black tie, and everybody had to dress up.
Oh, there we are.
Black tie wedding? Really? I understand tails and stuff if you want to go there, but black tie.
Yeah, no, it was a good, very good wedding in the end. Yeah, there was no arguments.
In the end,
as you'd always assume with me, Dan, there was no arguments at the wedding, and it was all very good.
Did you purchase your tux or did you rent it?
I rented it. But I do the bow tie up and then take it off halfway through the evening. Just
very
to try and
cool.
look
Very
extra
James
cool, but
Bond-esque.
it doesn't really work. Yeah.
Robbo, why does Arteta
Hold
always...
on, wait, when was the last... Did you say you were...
Yeah, prom.
Oh, that's right, yes.
Back in prom. Robbo, why does Arteta always play safe instead of forcing a win against top 4 teams? We saw that against Liverpool. We saw it against City as well. That's not a champion's mentality. Slot, on the other hand, will always go for a win.
Yes, I'm sure Arteta wanted to go for a win, but his team selection suggested it lacked creativity in the midfield area against the Man City side, who I think he was surprised sat so deep and he had to break them down. That's why he made the changes at half-time. But there is a slight negativity about Arteta in those big games, and I'm not quite sure why he does it, because I think he's got a very good side.
We got there in the end. Mikel Arteta, after the game, he kind of suggested that, never mind getting a point, that they should have had all 3, even although they were 1-0 down in the 92nd minute. Back to the FC crew, this time with Craig Burley, not talking about fashion, but talking about Arteta's comments. And let's just say Craig doesn't agree with what he heard from Mikel afterwards.
Now, I know we're going back a bit. Arsenal-Manchester City, 1-1 last Sunday. A lot of discussion about Arteta's tactics, and I know you addressed it as well, Craig, when you were here earlier on in the week. But what's been interesting is that there was an embargo piece of the press conference that has been released. This was ahead of the Port Vale game in the Carabao Cup. This is what Arteta had to say.
What did you make of that narrative of you being too cautious and deploying a cautious approach which could have potential in the future?
But I'm going to convince somebody that feels that way to something else. I cannot spend my energy of that. I think when you look at the winning record on this football club, the goals that we scored, the clean sheet that we had, the way we play, the way we played against Manchester City, in the territory we play against Man City. But I mean, I cannot waste that opportunity. And if the intention of those comments, which ones are the good ones, positive, to be better for us, not to be so good for us. So depending where the comment is coming from, I think that's when I can analyze it. See what is the intention, what is the purpose of that? Because I had a lot of things using my phone. They could not believe what we did to Manchester City. And people that are coaches, managers, CEOs, presidents, so proud. And I look at the players and the people around. So I'm much more filled and fueled with that with other ones that they want to make that.
Very similar to Ian Dark after a commentary. CEOs are always blowing up his phone to compliment him as he joins us now from the shadows a little from his house. I like it, Ian. Interesting stuff from Arteta, of course. Clearly, that criticism after his starting 11 against City has got to him a little bit, feeling that he has to cite that people have been on his phone blowing it up to congratulate him on his tactics.
Yeah, well, I think he's being a little bit oversensitive. I think it's a valid debate. I mean, it has been, I think, for a season or two, about whether Arsenal are ambitious enough in the bigger games. I think that was a criticism levelled at them at Anfield against Liverpool. And I think he was right on the day. They didn't go for it enough until they went behind late to that great Szoboszlai free kick on that game. And against Manchester City, you did defend brilliantly, I thought, in that game, which we haven't said a lot about Manchester City in the last year. I mean, there was a debate. He didn't play Eza. He didn't play Martinelli, who'd come on and done really well. He preferred Trossard on the left. And it was only when those players got involved that they conjured up that magical equaliser in stoppage time. So, look, people are going to carry on debating it, whether Mikel Arteta likes it or not.
Could be another documentary here with light bulbs and all that.
Yeah, I know.
I was on his phone. That's what he was on his phone because that's how people contact you.
Yeah.
I mean, presidents and CEOs and managers and coaches of all these busy conglomerates around the world. They've got all the time in the day to phone somebody up who's just drawn with Man City at home. I mean, it's amazing, isn't it? Drawn with Man City at home. Tottenham have beaten them. Brighton have beaten them. I mean, this is the Man City that are untouchable these days. This is the Man City that lost, what, did they lose 8 straight last year? When they fell off the cliff, went for the parachute and it wasn't on. They couldn't win a game. Could not win a game. Dropped, at one point, they weren't even going to get in the top 5. We were sitting here discussing it. Man City might not get in the top 5. They might not be in the Champions League. They did in the end, but that's how bad they were. They've drawn with them at home And every Tom, Dick and Harry from around the world is phoning him on his phone, by the way. It's incredible. Here's a guy, and he talks about, you know, the results this club have had. He's won an FA Cup in his time there. That's what he's won. He's improved the squad, or the club have. He's got a perfect squad now, near perfect. He's got a very, very strong outfit to go to the bench. He's got quality all over. They've spent a fortune. They keep finishing second. Now he has to get them over the line. And any thought about anybody criticising him is irking him. And that's telling me he knows the pressure he is under. He's got his striker. He's got his backup in the wide positions. He got Zubimendi. He's got a back four that most people in European football would die for. Absolutely rock solid. But yet, he was cautious in that game at home against a team that many people don't think will get back to the summit. Right? This wasn't Man City in their pomp of 3 or 4 years ago that when they rolled in and got off the bus, everybody was quaking in their boots. This is not that Man City. This is the Man City that most teams in the Premier League can get at. And we've seen it already this season on 2 occasions. They can be got at and they can be beaten. And Arsenal failed to do that. With all that pressure and all that possession, they failed because he had, for the most part of the game, the wrong personnel in the wrong areas to get the job done. That's a fact. And he can sit there and bumble away all he wants, like David Brent from The Office. But the point is, he was too cautious against a Man City side that did defend well, as Ian said. I'll give you that. They did defend well. But if you do the right things in the right areas in the final third against that back four, they had Kushinov at right back, who's a centre back. They had Nico Riley at left back, who's a midfielder. And yet Arsenal were cautious with the 3 midfielders, as he should have played. That's, in my opinion, I think in most. He could have played in that number 10 role. He did not until late in the game. And he was the difference with that ball over the top.
So who's right, Craig Burley or Mikel Arteta? I've had a few questions in as well. Thank you for those. When will Mikel Arteta come under pressure for not winning silverware? Well, he's got an FA Cup and 2 Community Shields with Arsenal. His league form, he's never finished lower than he did the previous season. But right now, that's second. And he's finished second a few times now, consecutively. They're second in the table again, Liverpool with an unbeaten 100% record to begin the campaign. So if he wins silverware this season but doesn't get the league title, if it's a cup, whether it's the European trophy, which they would love, that would be the ultimate to get the Champions League. But would a domestic trophy suffice if they finished second again? It remains to be seen. But there's a lot of what Craig said you can't argue with. He's been given everything that he's pretty much asked for and everything we've spoken about on FC over the past couple of years. Give him a striker. Give him that extra defensive midfielder that's going to help protect a defence that's already one of the best in the league. And then Zubimendi comes in. That allows Declan Rice to get forward. And they haven't really missed Odegaard too much when he's been out injured. He's got everything he wants now. So now it's time to deliver. Not after 5 games in the Premier League is when we judge Mikel Arteta. Because things can happen in a season. Everyone's going to hit a bad spell. It's can Arsenal capitalise after that bad spell? And then we'll find out. If they do, then Mikel Arteta's not going to come under any pressure whatsoever. We're going to end today's ESPN FC with a selection of your questions from Extra Time over the past 7 days.
Welcome into the latest edition of Extra Time. We've got Ale, Stevie and Frank here to answer your questions. Thanks for sending them in. First question is for Stevie.
Okay.
Stevie, how much restraint do you need to show as a manager to not immediately react to a player doing what Ekitike did to get his red card?
Yeah, you absolutely do. Because you don't want to say the wrong thing. You want to have time to consider how you do it properly and get the message over the way it should be given, as opposed to, you just snap and start screaming and swearing at somebody, because that's the temptation. So yeah, it is very important that you go about it the right way. And we saw Arne Slot on the show, how he went about it. I mean, there was no doubt that he called it stupid and he would told the player it was stupid. So the message was sent to the player in the right way, where the player's going to take it on board and not take the hump at the manager and hopefully learn from it.
You know that you were saying that he's holding it up during the game to like say, look, remember me, I'm the one who's been scored. He could have just done the old roll, couldn't he? Why not? Why not just think of that in the moment?
Here's the thing. He shouldn't be doing it, period. Whether it's this or showing the jersey this, as Arne Slot mentioned in the press conference, tap in. My kind of range. No goalkeeper. Empty net, and it was given to you by your teammate. Go to your teammate. Go to your teammate, the guy that provided you the service. Instead, he was busier thinking about, let me make it about myself. And that is the part that, among many of the decisions that he made, that is the part that I find the most regrettable. That you made it about yourself, and whatever point you were trying to make was far more important than your teammate providing you with an assist when you just had to tap it into the back of the net.
Our teammate Frank is joining us. Frank, this question's for you. Frank argued that forwards are the worst five-a-side players and always lose to teams with more defenders. So who would win an ESPN FC five-a-side match of Frank, Stevie, Mario Melchior, Kieran Gibbs and Nadem versus Ale, Jan, Luis Garcia, Hercules Gomez and Mario Kempes, all in their prime?
Frank, would you want me to light it for you?
No chance.
Frank, would you like to light this for you?
Do it. Yeah, go on. Really, it's a waste of time, that question. Of course. No, we're gonna murder them. I tell you.
Wouldn't be close.
That's unbelievable.
It wouldn't be close.
Yeah, my God. Like I would be. Come on, that would be 8-2, something like that.
Yeah, not close.
But can I make some changes?
Well, you can try.
I haven't seen my team play yet, but I'm dropping Hercules and bringing in Jurgen Klinsmann. And that, elevates us a little bit, makes it a little bit closer. Yeah. But I will say, in a five-a-side, you need defending. You do. You also need a striker that can play with his back to goal. So if you guys will take me, I'll come to your team and I'll set you guys up coming from behind. Just play to me. I lay it off. You guys score. We win. And then the strikers can go their own way.
Can he join your team, guys?
I'm sure we could work something out.
Okay, yeah. But I also is Jurgen really coming to play or not? Or are we stuck with Hercules? I just want to know.
A few changes. Can I just get rid of Park and bring in Jurgen, please?
Well, I'm trying to figure out who would play in the back for us. And, it's not going to be Mario Kempes. Jan, I've seen him run. The fish is going to catch him.
The fish. Maybe the fish.
Luis Garcia. We'll play Luis Garcia underneath. I'm going to have to play in the back. And I'm guessing Jurgen is going to have to play in the back with me.
Okay, so it's 10-2. It's 10-2. It's not even 8-2.
No, I'll say 8-5. 8-5.
Who's most likely to get sent off on each side? Who do you think would be the feistiest and the fieriest?
Mario Melchior is good for a bad challenge. He's good for a reckless challenge. And then me.
But you're only getting sent off if you need to lump somebody. We're not even going to have to lump anybody.
Yeah, I'm coming after you, Steve.
Yeah. In fact, are we allowed to play whilst we're smoking the cigars?
Look, if we happen to be getting destroyed 10-2, as Frank is alleging, somebody's going to get it.
I can't believe
somebody.
I mean, again.
Somebody's going to get it.
Who is going to hurt anybody in that other team?
I'm coming after somebody.
Who's going to hurt anybody?
Kieran seems like a sensible guy. I'll go after
let's
Kieran.
be honest, Luis, it'd be one of them with Luis. You'd have your hand on his forehead and he'd be like that. He'd be going like that.
I feel like Jan would be a bit nuts. You never know what you're going to get from Jan.
He is Norwegian.
Unless the fish is around, then you getting beat. That's all.
That's true. Okay, Frank and Stevie, what was your favourite small ground you played in the League/FA Cup during your time in England? And What was the worst?
Gran, you played in the league FA Cup.
So when you play,
Well, except the home, the home Gran. We agree.
Yeah. Obviously, a team that was smaller than you, that you'd have to go to their ground, that stands out, that you remember.
Please. Frank looks
Come
down
on,
upon
CB,
everybody.
Go first.
Frank doesn't care about all the smaller teams. Are you kidding me?
So certainly when I played, you hated going to any of the small grounds because the field and the ball and everything was rotten. I mean, the field would either be, the grass would be too long or there wouldn't be any grass on it. I mean, the changing rooms would be, like you'd have to actually stand outside and let them take all the gear in because there wasn't enough room to get the gear boxes and the team in. I mean, there was no fun going to any of the small teams whatsoever. But I'd say the one I remember most was not actually when I played for Liverpool, it was when I played for Doncaster Rovers, who were in the 5th tier of English football. And it was the first time that I had ever played in the first round of the FA Cup. And we were playing against Southend United, who were in the league. They were in Division 2. And we went there and won 1-0. It was absolutely fantastic. So I always remember Southend United. It was absolutely brilliant. The absolute worst ever was York City. We played York City in the FA Cup. Liverpool were European champions at the time, and we scraped a draw. I think they were in the old 2nd division. There was frost. I think it was January. It was the 3rd round. The ground was rock hard. There was straw on it because what they'd done is nobody had undersoil heating or anything like that. So they'd covered it in straw like 2 days before,
like a blanket.
Thinking that would save the field. Anyway, they took the straw off, not all of it because there was bits lying about all the shop, and the ground was like that. And the referee said it was playable. I mean, it was a nightmare.
I didn't hear Craig Burley, who turned 54 this week, being mentioned for either of those two five-a-side teams. We're going to end this week, and executive decision every single Friday with one piece of fantasy Premier League advice for the weekend. Now, if you have him, you'll captain him. His name is Erling Haaland, and Manchester City are at home to Burnley. But should you use your triple captain on Erling Haaland for Manchester City against Burnley? I say no. City travel to Monaco in the Champions League in midweek. I'm sure they'll have one eye on that. And if they're 2 or 3 goals up by that stage, do you really think Erling Haaland will play 90 minutes at home to Burnley ahead of a Champions League game? Save your triple captainship for later in the season. The real reason I want to end with Fantasy Premier League advice is so I can simply say, in addition to watching ESPN FC every night on ESPN Plus, as far as Fantasy Premier League is concerned, may your arrows be green. Bye for now.